So you've seen people reading these massive books and you want to give it a go yourself, but no matter how hard the FOMO hits, just the idea of opening one of these bad boys makes you feel overwhelmed. And the more you put it off, the more you miss out on some of the most magical stories you'll ever experience. Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to take that fear away and reveal the one thing that you need to know to get started, then give you some targeted recommendations so you can get yourself fully immersed today. And no, it's not about reading 20 pages at a time. At the beginning of my reading journey, I can't tell you how many times I DNF'd these books. Every time I started, I didn't feel like I was taking anything in. I just felt like an idiot and basically concluded that these books weren't for me. That was until I learned about cognitive load. Let's think of your brain as a memory stick with limited capacity. The more information you try and shove into it, the harder it becomes to process. And this is exactly what's happening inside your mind every time you're picking up one of these books. You're trying to learn political facts, magic systems, unfamiliar names, world-building facts, all while trying to remain inside a narrative and keep track of everything. It can be super draining, but don't worry, because there's a way to push through this. I'm not talking about discipline here or building good habits. I'm talking about setting the right expectations. Going into the book, you need to accept that you won't get everything all at once. The beauty of it is you don't have to understand it all. You just need to look for emotional clarity. So if you don't understand the politics, that's fine. Just ask yourself, is the character feeling scared, angry, sad, excited, desperate? Follow that and the details will catch up later. Trust me, the more you learn to enjoy the emotion of the scene, the more that the rest of the book will start to click. But here's the good news. Once you've read one of these books, the rest of them becomes second nature. Your brain becomes practiced at taking its time and accepting that things will eventually fall into place. And when they do, it makes for a truly magical moment. And the best part is, you can make this easier on yourself by understanding your tolerance level. You see, I found that fantasy and sci-fi readers often fall into three different categories. First, we've got the momentum reader. If you enjoy the pacing of a thriller and you're just here for a non-stop good time, then this is the category for you. Next, we're talking about the immersion reader. If you're looking for deeper world building, an atmosphere you can feel radiating off the page, and a slower setup to the story, then this is where you sit. Maybe neither of these work for you. You're looking for something a little denser, complex with an air of mystery, the type of novel that is going to keep you on your toes and challenge you to figure things out for yourself. You, my friend, are a discovery reader. Once you know which category you fit into, it becomes a lot easier to select which book you're going to tackle first. Now, let's get started with your recommended reading route. Oh, and for anyone who has already started to read in these genres, if you feel like there's something that is more applicable that I don't mention, please don't forget to drop it in the comments so that we can get as many people reading this genre as we can today. Thank you very much. So, let's get started with the momentum readers out there. For you, I would recommend The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. It might look like a chunky boy, but the way that Brandon Sanderson writes the prose makes this an extremely accessible first big read, and I would highly recommend checking this one out. Brandon Sanderson knows how to keep progress moving, and he basically doesn't really stop moving until the very last page, and by the end of this, you're going to be wanting to pick up book 2. There are 5 books in the series so far. All of them are over 1,000 pages long, but trust me, by the time you get to the end of the books, you kind of need to pick up the next one because of the way that it is written. This is an epic fantasy set in a storm-ravaged world called Roshar, where there's a war going on between the humans and these creatures called the Parshendi after an assassination of the king took place. You're going to be following 3 different characters primarily and learning all about them. Each of them are contributing to something relatively ancient that is picking up, and in the background there are ancient beings at work doing something rather devious. So I will let you pick that up and figure it out for yourself. But honestly, this is a great read. It's great for people who want a good emotion at the end, because it's one of the books that gave me the strongest emotions during my time reading fantasy. This is one of the few books that has made me literally emote out loud. I didn't want to say what the emotion was because I don't want to ruin it for you, but it is totally worth picking up for anyone out there who relates to being a momentum reader. So what about immersion readers? Well, for you, I would recommend A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I am aware that there's a chance you've seen the television series and you feel like you've already taken in everything that this book has to offer, but I assure you that you haven't, because experiencing the prose of George R.R. Martin is a very different experience to watching the television show, and I have heard that it goes off in a different direction for anybody that isn't, has watched the TV show. There are different things to be discovered. We don't know whether the series is going to be finished yet, and a lot of people are always wondering as to whether they should pick up this series or not. But honestly, if you're looking to get into some kind of interesting world building, but you also don't want to lose the momentum, George R. R. Martin is really good for that. He's really good for kind of making it feel like a bit of a history novel at the same time as grounding you within this world. It's a really, really great experience, and I highly recommend it to anybody who has an interest in getting into immersion reading, because George R. R. Martin just knows how to build that world and set you in there. And if you haven't read the book, this is fantastic. I am jealous of anyone that discovers this book for the first time and doesn't know anything that happens in it, because there are things that happen in this book that you just would not see coming. It's going to put you in an interesting world that is immersive without being too overwhelming. I would definitely check out this one as your first big read. And of course, the discovery readers. For you, I would suggest Mercy, Tears of the Fallen, and Mercy, Ill is the Fate. The reason why there are two books in my hand right now is because this is a duology, meaning that there are two different books that are going to be within the story. However, the first book was so big that the writer, Chance Dillon, has split them up into two different books, and I honestly believe these books are better consumed together, because when I finished reading Mercy, Tears of the Fallen, I still hadn't pieced everything together, but when you read Ill is the Fate, everything starts to click. A lot of people would probably think that I was about to recommend Malazan, and I do think that Malazan is really good for anyone who is a discovery reader. In fact, it's probably one of the best book series for you to do that. However, I think Chance has done a little bit of a lighter approach here, and if this is your first time trying to do a bit of discovery reading, it can be quite intimidating, and I do believe that this is a lighter approach and you'll be able to discover things a lot faster than you will if you read Malazan. So I would say definitely pick this one up. And because you're a discovery reader, I'm not actually going to tell you anything about what this is about or what happens in it. I think you should just go and pick it up. Trust me, by the time you get to the end of book 2, you will be begging for book 3/part 2 in the duology, which Chance is currently writing, so it's going to be here soon. So I would absolutely recommend getting on this hype train. If you're looking for any further recommendations, then don't forget to check out this playlist, because it's got a bunch of videos where I thoroughly analyze different books that I have read in the past and might be something you want to check out along the way. Thanks for watching this video. I'll speak to you all in the next one. Goodbye.